Welcome to my channel people. Author link will be on description. Make sure to check it. Seeing the desperate situation his friend Danzo was in, Hiruzen started to get soft-hearted and said, "Danzo, surrender now and accept your judgment." "And what is this judgment you speak of?" I said. Hiruzen looked troubled and said, "Danzo is a very good asset to the village. We can imprison him and use him when needed." The battlefield turned dead silent with everyone looking at Hiruzen with stupefied faces, including Danzo. What a useless Hokage, they thought as they felt disappointed, and even the people close by in the Hokage tower and the street felt the same. "Hiashi-san, Fugaku-san, I suggest both the Uchiha and Hyuga leave the village if it's still ruled by this incompetent person. What do you two think?" I said with a serious face. A fast reply to my question followed, but not from Hiashi and Fugaku but from Hiruzen. "Kid, what are you saying? Are you trying to cause the fall of the village?" "No, I am leaving that for you to do. And you already did. Now shut up and deal with this guy in front of us. Or are you buying him time to think of a plan?" I had a suspicious look and I really felt like it's possible. Yo, Hiruzen felt frustrated with a kid telling him to shut up, but he knew it was his fault. He's just acting selfish to spare his friend, uncaring of others' feelings or what harm he will cause. What a great Hokage he is. "Enough Bakurio, we need to focus on dealing with Danzo," said Fugaku with a disappointed look on his face while looking at Hiruzen. The same look was on Hiashi's face, and it reminded Hiruzen of Minato's and Kushina's faces that he just saw, causing him to feel that guilt again and focus properly on dealing with Danzo. "We will talk about what the kid said later. Get into formation," Hiruzen said, and so they started attacking Danzo the same way as before, but this time something was different. Danzo indeed formulated a plan during this pause. Usually the moment Hiashi attacks Danzo with his gentle fist, Danzo will either retreat or counter it with his own taijutsu or attack back with sharp wind blades and bullets. This time, however, as Hiashi attacked and was expecting Danzo to dodge like usual, he saw that his fist connected with Danzo's right shoulder, but at the same time Danzo hit him back with his left hand and sent him flying away. As Hiashi was sent away, Fugaku took the opportunity with Danzo's right arm currently immobilized thanks to the effect of the gentle fist and attacked from that direction, while Hiruzen created a distraction with his staff by attacking from the left. Danzo leaned back and evaded the staff, but he saw two shining red eyes from his right peripheral vision, so he tried to jump away, but a dark flash passed and his right arm started flying in the air while rotating slowly. All of this happened instantly. From Hiashi's attack to Hiruzen distraction to Fugaku taking advantage of the unexpected situation, their teamwork was almost perfect. This is experience. Even if they never fought together before, they quickly knew how to get the best out of the situation, I thought as I looked at the events unfolding. Danzo quickly followed by inhaling deeply and sent a sharp air wave that seemed to target Fugaku, but he quickly changed the direction of the attack, with the target being the now standing Hiashi, and I instantly understood that something was bad. Hiashi was both surprised and fearful because he found out he can't move his body as dark seals started appearing around his body and expanding towards his face, and both Fugaku and Hiruzen were away from him. "Was it when he sent me away?" thought Hiashi as he felt his fear growing looking at the very sharp wave getting closer and closer to him and knew he couldn't free himself in time. "Is this the end?" thought Hiashi for one last time. Or so he thought, because a kid with terrifying reaction speed and reflexes quickly took out a huge shield that covered his whole body and jumped in front of him, causing Hiashi's eyes to widen in shock. Screesh, a weird sound of something trying to cut metal was heard as that air wave connected with the kid's huge shield, causing sparks to start flying everywhere and pushing the kid along with the person he was protecting back. Unfortunately, that shield didn't hold for long and split in half, but it served its purpose, weakening the air wave. So next the kid took out a double-edged short sword and held it with both hands from the hilt and tip horizontally in front of him, intercepting the air wave again. This time he was pushed back, but there was no sparks, and after going through many houses leaving them split in half and destroyed, he finally stopped and his appearance looked really bad. Clothes tattered, body drained, legs injured and fingers broken. This is what happens when a Chunin-level body blocks a cage-level attack, and he was lucky having such hard swords that didn't break easily. "Thank God I got that shield while training the past week, but this is really bad," I thought as I looked at the man that was sent away with me. Hiashi shot me a grateful look before he focused all his attention on his chakra and quickly sent it out of his body from all of his 361 chakra nodes, an ability unique to the Hyuga clan, finally dispelling the curse seal and regained his body movement again and quickly said, "Are you okay, Bakurio-kun?" "Yes, don't worry about me. Quickly go help them and be careful next time. That Danzo is very sneaky," I said with a calm face so he believes I was fine. "Okay, I will be back soon," said Hiashi before he quickly rushed towards Danzo, but what he saw was way out of his expectations. The usually calm Fugaku was very angry and his normal Sharingans changed to Mangekyo Sharingans and he was easily thrashing him left and right with very fast movement. Something is not right, thought Hiashi as he saw how Fugaku's speed wasn't because of moving his body. He saw him take a normal step and he would appear right in front of Danzo. No, he's not moving fast, he's shrinking space. Hiashi was shocked before he looked deeply at Fugaku's Mangekyo Sharingans. Is it from the change of his eyes? As he was thinking, Fugaku flashed by Danzo and his head was separated from his body. By now the people that were inside the Hokage Tower started arriving and they looked speechless at this one-sided battle. This is the power of the Uchiha, they thought as I also arrived back at the fight scene thanks to a shadow clone carrying me on its back and quickly yelled, "Fugaku-san, calm down. After all, if he continues like this, yes, he can deal with Danzo easily, but he will pay a price." His eyesight and he indeed calmed down when he saw me alive and deactivated his Mangekyo while the fight with Danzo quickly reached its end with the help of the rest of the Jonin surrounded by more than 10 Jonin and even a few elite Jonin and cage-level ninja. Danzo's fate was sealed. Slowly the last Sharingan in his right eye closed and along with his exhausted chakra reserves, Danzo couldn't resist the combined assault anymore and was captured in the end. Ironically, the man that liked to put seals on people and control them was now under a seal and can't move his body at all. Finally, everyone heaved a sigh of relief, but the consequences from this incident are far from over. This was just the beginning. Hiruzen looked at his sealed friend with a sad face before he looked at Hiashi, Fugaku. And then me, everyone that knows medical ninjutsu, please help the injured ninja and citizens starting by those in critical condition. Just as Hiruzen said this, the Jonin commander Shikaku Nara said, "Hokage-sama, the citizens didn't suffer any injuries thanks to the timely intervention of the Uchiha police force. As for our ninja, other than the head of the Aburame clan, there's no serious injuries." To the surprise of everyone, such a scary event that happened in the heart of the village with cage-level ninja fighting didn't result in any casualties but only one person heavily injured. Hiruzen along with some other perceptive people like the council and Shikaku had complicated looks while looking at Fugaku, remembering the power he showcased and the obvious planning behind all of this. Hiruzen let out a sigh knowing that diverting the attention to the injured people won't work, so in the end he said, "Good to hear, Konoha's Uchiha police force did a really good job." Emphasizing the Konoha part before he continued, "We will hold an urgent meeting, other than the heavily injured, everyone's required to attend, please follow me." As Hiruzen turned back to the slightly damaged Hokage Tower with a complicated look, the other ninja gave one last look at Fugaku that contains both fear and respect before they followed after Hiruzen. As for me, I was sitting on the floor with Fugaku and Hiashi looking at me with worried faces as a skilled medical ninja was trying to assess my injuries, and without hesitation he started casting an anesthetic jutsu when he saw just how many broken bones I had, especially in my hands, which lessened the terrible pain I was going through since I've been gritting my teeth for a while now. Next, the medical ninja said to Fugaku, "We need to take the kid to the hospital to treat his broken bones. I don't have the proper tools to treat him here." Before Fugaku could reply, Hiashi was already saying, "Please take care of him. I will also send a Hyuga medical nin to not miss any hidden injuries." Fugaku looked at Hiashi and thought, "What the hell? When did this arrogant bastard turn so nice?" But didn't say anything since this is for the good of Bakurio and decided to send Itachi to take care of him since he was still nearby helping the citizens. I didn't reply because the anesthetic really got me dizzy, so my clone replied, "Thank you, Hiashi-san. You guys should go. I will send a clone to accompany you to the meeting," and created another clone because I really want to attend that meeting. Saying our goodbye, I thought, finally the plan to deal with these mummified flies is about to end. Indeed, the target of the plan from the start was the whole council, not just Danzo. And everything was agreed upon from the start, from how Naruto acted friendly towards me in front of everyone, To what information Minato revealed to Hiruzen, saying I was just helping them and Naruto, but never mentioned that I was also planning on freeing Kurama or reviving them, and for this I just used the same device I gave to Mukai since Naruto also has one on him. Next, knowing that all of this was going to make a mess, we decided to kill two birds with one stone and leave the protection of the people to the police force under the leadership of both Inabi and Tekka along with Shisui and Itachi to satisfy their obsession and craving for peace and letting them gain a deeper understanding that a well-planned risky situation can become very safe, and the results are clear, no casualties. I also told Fugaku about my friendship with Hiashi, which shocked him to no end since the Hyuga and the Uchiha never met eye to eye and there was always conflict between them, but no more very soon, only rivalry at best, and Hiashi did his job on the previous meeting by showing his support to corner Danzo. As I was taken to the Konoha hospital, two skilled medical ninjas started quickly treating my injuries, one of them being the Hyuga that Hiashi promised, and they were surprised at how much pain the kid can handle. When they were done, two dark-haired teenagers visited me. One's hair was long while the other was short and unkempt, and of course they are Itachi and Shisui. I had my guard up a little when I saw the uninvited Shisui since I am still wary of his Mangekyo Sharingan, but for now I trust I can react if I see the slightest change in his eyes, and in the future I will make sure to learn from Mukai how to program one's body to automatically follow a certain command or action when under special situations like Genjutsu. This is the same thing Danzo used against Shisui in the canon, but instead of killing himself like Mukai, his command was to activate Izanagi, allowing him to escape the effect of Koto Amatsukami. As for me, I will use my command to issue a load command. Itachi and Shisui looked at my broken hands and legs in worry and said, "Are you okay, Bakurio?" "Obviously not. Cough cough," I said as I coughed a little because of my recently fixed broken ribs, causing Itachi to say, "Don't talk if you find it hard." "Don't worry, how's the meeting going?" I asked after all my treatment took a while to finish. This time Shisui replied, "We don't know since it's not over yet, but hopefully it goes as planned," before he bowed to me with Itachi showing no surprise but mimicked his action and said, "I am sorry we were blinded by our own confusion, causing a kid from our clan to bear these responsibilities and sacrifice a lot, while the answer was very simple, just side with the wrong party. The fact we thought that the clan was one side and the village another meant we already regarded the clan as an enemy of the village, while in truth the enemy of the village was ruling it from the dark, and we let that darkness blind us from the correct path." "Stop and raise your head," I ordered with a cold face. "You need to apologize to the whole clan, not just me, but especially to Fugaku-san, since he had to carry this responsibility for years and years while you two ignorantly painted his actions as a man with no care for the village and only made it harder for him." Before I deeply looked at Shisui, "After all, I am sure if you revealed your power, you would have also told the useless council about it, causing any plans he can do with it to go down the drain. Just learn from this and grow up." Feeling ashamed, both decided to apologize properly later. Meanwhile, at the meeting, while Bakurio's real body was getting treated inside Konoha's hospital, the clone that accompanied Fugaku and Hiashi to the meeting was coldly observing the council members and the politics they want to play. "I am sorry everyone, I was really incompetent as a ninja and a leader and ended up causing the current situation," said Hiruzen with a sad face. And someone in the crowd quickly said, "Hokage-sama, it's not your fault, no one thought Danzo would go that far." Also, Hiruzen starts by playing the sad card to gain some sympathy, and one of his supporters quickly interjects by shifting the blame from him and the council to Danzo alone. "I really just want to kill all of them, I thought," as I signaled to Fugaku secretly to start as planned. Fugaku snorted and said in anger, "Not his fault. He's the Hokage. He approved of every decision Danzo made and even granted him too much power by letting him create his own Anbu division, and you say it's not his fault. Indeed, it's the fault of all the council members." Most people in the crowd were already disappointed in the Hokage, so they agreed with Fugaku and nodded their heads. His show of power helped, since if it was before they would still hesitate to side with him. Add to that the Hyuga taking the lead in supporting the Uchiha, their decision wasn't that difficult. Hearing what Fugaku said and seeing the people agreeing with him, Hiruzen thought, "It seems we won't be able to defuse the situation, let at least try to maintain the position of the council." and said, "Indeed, I trusted Danzo a lot and we ended in this position because of it, especially the Uchiha clan. They suffered a lot from this, that's why I hope to get them away from the outskirts of the village back to the center so they can do their job better in protecting the civilians like everyone saw today, resulting in a miracle of 0 casualties." Ha 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 ha. I laughed so hard inside my head that my mouth started twitching and my cold facial expression almost broke. He truly think that tempting Fugaku with this will solve everything. Indeed, the Uchiha always wanted to go back to the center of the village, but it lost its meaning now, you old fool. Oh wait, he's probably younger than me, never mind, I thought. Fugaku felt the same and wasn't moved at all by this offer. The Uchiha clan doesn't care about going to the village center. We want the people behind our suffering to be punished and replaced by competent people. This requires the immediate execution of Danzo and you 3 leaving your power. This time Fugaku looked at them coldly and said, "This village doesn't need a Hokage without power the way you did with the 4th. Homura, the man that wears glasses, slapped the table and said, "How dare you refuse us when we gave you what you always wanted and you even want to remove us from power? It seems your Uchiha clan wants to take over Konoha." Ho! What a smart man, pretending to be angry to trap Fugaku. Now he can't say yes, we want to rule Konoha since it will cause us to become the enemy of anyone greedy for power. Meaning it will make most clan heads wary of us and lose their support, and if he says no, then no matter what we won't be able to gain too much power after this is over, I thought while waiting for Fugaku's reply. This reply will determine how the meeting is going to continue, so everyone was also waiting for it, and Fugaku didn't take long and said, "An elder with your same position decided to betray the village for his own selfish desires, kill its citizens and ninja for his experiments, and doesn't care about the consequences of his actions at all. All this under your supervision, and his matter wasn't settled yet, and all you think about is who gets power after you. Do you care at all about this village?" Good choice, Fugaku. Pick the 3rd choice and divert the topic to their incompetence, I thought. Homura looked coldly at Fugaku but didn't say anything, and the people around them started whispering to each other. "He's right," said Jonin 1. "Yay, the 4th wanted to do many things to make the village better and stop conflicts, but he always faced obstacles from the elders." Jonin 2. "Yay, they are still thinking about keeping their power and didn't even apologize or admit their wrongs one bit." Jonin 3. "HMPH, they have been in their positions for too long." Jonin 4. Hearing the whispers, the council's faces changed, and Hiruzen too was the same, so he quickly tried to defuse the situation. "Everyone. We all make mistakes. Of course the elders aren't thinking about keeping their power and authority, they are just worried about the village and they don't want it to be in the wrong hands." I finally couldn't hold it anymore and laughed out loud. "Ha ha ha ha. Let me guess, by the wrong hands you mean anyone but them, or what?" Kaharu, the only woman from the council, secretly signaled for one of the clan heads that support them, causing him to say, "Kid, know your place, this isn't a place for you to talk." Ah, these people really think I won't kill them or what? I thought as my anger almost blinded me when I heard what this puppet said. I looked at Kaharu coldly and said, "Next time use a sneakier signal when you ask your puppet to act in your place." The man tried to retort again, but he quickly shut his mouth when he felt the killing intent directed at him from Hiashi and Fugaku, causing him to feel a chill down his spine. "We are still waiting for your answer, Hiruzen, and let not waste any more time. Are you willing to execute Danzo and step down from your position as a Hokage along with the 2 rotten mummies behind you, or not?" I said directly. The people here didn't know what to think about the boldness of this kid, but they also wanted to hear the answer, so they remained silent. Sigh. Hiruzen sighed and said sadly, "I can do anything as long as it's for the benefits of the village, but to dismiss the council is too much since they really weren't aware of the darkness inside of Danzo's heart, and it would cause a huge gap in the administration system of the village, and finding a replacement would be very hard. I hope th." I rudely cut off his emotional BS speech and said, "Don't worry, the village is filled with talented people that can fill their shoes and more. As for why they deserve it, simple, they are showing no remorse, and even now they didn't apologize for it, so their chance for repentance is gone now." Kaharu and Homura were shaking in anger, and Hiruzen was about to get mad too, but seeing that what I said was true and those 2 didn't apologize at all caused him to swallow his words. Damn this kid. Those 2 probably don't feel in the wrong at all and should be, since they did nothing in the first place, but he used their egos against them. Sigh, it seems we are really too old for this, Hiruzen thought before he said, "Everyone, please raise your hand if you want the council members to be dismissed. Finally showing your last hand, I thought as I looked around the room. Hiruzen, not wanting to be the one to make the decision of dismissing the council, decided to make it a vote, and results were very clear because the moment his voice died down, almost everyone in the room raised their hands with the exception of few clan heads that are close to the council members. Looking at the inevitable result, Hiruzen with a sad face said, "Today, the council consisting of its remaining members Homura Mitokado and Kaharu Udatane is dismissed, and I as the third Hokage shall step down from my position." Everyone felt like they were dreaming when they heard what Hiruzen said. After all, these four along with Danzo held most of the power in Konoha. Who would have thought that just one of them will bring the fall of the rest with him? But then they remembered the ones that played the biggest role in this. A big Uchiha monster nicknamed Wicked Eye that lived up to his name, along with a small Uchiha monster that survived a cage-level attack and saved the Hyuga clan head. As everyone was dazed, a serene voice broke this silence. It was Fugaku, back to his famous stoic face. "It's time for Danzo's execution before we start thinking about appointing the next Hokage and council members." Hearing what he said, both Kaharu and Homura just stormed out of the room in anger while Hiruzen stayed looking at their backs and sighed. "We truly aren't as good as we thought." Meanwhile, the people that supported their stay shrunk back on their seat and didn't say anything else. Shikaku said, "I agree with Fugaku. What Danzo did deserve the death penalty, and we need to hurry so we can come to an agreement on whom to be the next Hokage and council members to not let the other hidden villages take advantage of our unstable situation." Choza Akamichi, a tall, plump man with naturally brown hair, but seems to wear a long, spiky red hairpiece. He has purple markings on his cheeks and wears a samurai-like outfit which entails a black suit complete with armor that has the kanji for food on it. He also wears a rope belt, hand guards, and instead of a forehead protector, a hachimaki tied around his head. This was Choji's father and the head of the Akamichi clan, and now he had a cruel look on his face when said, "Indeed, let make it quick, who wants to witness it?" Fugaku said with a cold look, "I will go." "Same here," I said with a smile. And soon many others wanted to witness it. These people are the ones that suffered from Danzo and wanted to make sure that he gets what he deserves. Hiruzen kept looking at this sadly before he said, "I will also follow you," while thinking, "At least I will say goodbye, old friend." And so just like that, a group of people went in the direction of Konoha's torture and interrogation building where the criminals are imprisoned. To their surprise, when they arrived, they noticed a huge disturbance inside the building with guards rushing everywhere as if searching for someone, causing everyone to have a bad feeling. Fugaku quickly got hold of a guard and started questioning him. "What happened here? Why is everyone rushing around?" The guard looked reluctant to reveal what happened, but when he saw Hiruzen also approach and nod at him, he let out a sigh and started talking. While I thought, Hiruzen still has his authority, this needs to change quickly, before I started listening to what the guard said. Shimura Danzo, the highest level criminal recently caught, was rescued by a masked man. We don't know what ability he used, but from what we saw in our surveillance camera, he seemed to appear out of swirling vortex directly inside the cell where Danzo was held before he used that same ability to disappear again, this time taking Danzo with him, and we could get there to stop him in time. The people present were shocked before they remembered what Hiruzen told them about Minato's encounter with the masked man and his weird abilities. Hiruzen quickly got out of his shock and ordered, forgetting he wasn't the Hokage anymore, "Lock all the exits around Konoha and search for any traces of the masked man and Danzo quickly." This was a big hit to the pride of everyone, especially Fugaku. After all this, someone came in and just stole his hard-earned prize, while Hiruzen was worried about Danzo leaking information to Konoha's enemies since he didn't trust him anymore. Yet no matter how much they are going to search, they will never find him. After all, by now Danzo was in a whole different dimension. Every ninja in the village started searching inside and outside the village, especially those with sensor abilities like the Uchiha, the Hyuga, the Inuzuka, the Aburame, and those that have sensor summons like Kakashi's dogs all sprinted into action. Meanwhile, the clan heads regrouped quickly inside the Hokage tower to decide on the Hokage and the new council members, and Hiruzen simply acted as moderator. From the people present, I believe that the ones qualified to be the Hokage are Fugaku Uchiha, Hiyashi Hyuga, and Shikaku Nara. There's also my two students Jiraiya and Tsunade, but right now the situation is urgent, so we need to choose from the people present. Some people felt disappointed at not being qualified, but the people Hiruzen chose are truly the best Konoha can afford currently, so they agreed. Still, someone didn't agree. To the shock of everyone, it was Hiashi who said with a weird look, "I do not want to be Hokage and my support will be for the Uchiha." The people looked perplexed at Hiashi before they noticed that he was looking at the kid behind Fugaku, and when they saw his smile they felt a chill and thought, what a scary kid. Indeed, Bakurio was ready to beat the crap out of Hiashi if didn't get the message. But people quickly accepted his choice, knowing that these two clans somehow got closer, and Hiruzen too nodded. That's fine, while thinking, there's still Shikaku to contend for the positio. But before he could finish this thought, Shikaku simply rubbed the back of his head with his hand and said with the famous bored look of the Nara clan, "Sorry, but being a Hokage is just a huge drag. Being the Jonin commander is already killing me, so I decline." Everyone's jaw almost dropped to the floor, including mine, since I didn't expect this at all and was preparing many moves in the case they chose him instead of Fugaku, including going back to the past to change their mind, but in the end everything happened like we wanted. Are you sure? Hiruzen this time asked for confirmation, unlike the case with Hiashi, and Shikaku simply yawned and said disinterestedly, "Yay, I'm sure." People thought that he wasted a huge chance with his laziness, but only those that knew him better, like the head of the Yamanaka clan and Choza, understood the true thoughts of this strategist. Let hope these stupid internal conflicts end with this. After all, they deserve it, Shikaku thought before he closed his eyes. Hiruzen sighed for the 1000th time today before he said, "Then it's decided, Fugaku Uchiha is officially the 5th Hokage." Hearing Hiruzen says Fugaku Uchiha, you are the 5th Hokage, no one had any complaints and they started applauding while looking at Fugaku's dazed face. As for Fugaku himself, he didn't know how to feel about this. After all, this is his dream, a dream he gave up on a long time ago because of the terrible situation and the pressure his clan was under. Now, however, he was living that impossible childhood dream of becoming the first Uchiha Hokage and can help the Uchiha clan rise again, and it was all thanks to the kid standing behind him with his weird information network and ingenious planning. Without him knowing, a tear slid down his face, but different from the blood that dripped from his eyes when he was fighting Danzo from using his Mangekyo Sharingan. This was a tear of happiness. No one expected the stoic Fugaku to shed a tear, but it only made them warm up to him even more and understand just what kind of pressure this man was under. After all, if clan heads like them can't understand him, no one will. Meanwhile, seeing Fugaku shed a tear made Hiruzen think, maybe this change is what the village needed, before he too accepted him as the new Hokage from in heart and not just because of the situation. Looking at the reactions around me and their understanding looks toward Fugaku, I couldn't help but think, people truly accept others more when they show their human side. Fugaku finally regained his calm, but he still smiled when he spoke. Thank you, everyone, for agreeing with this decision. I will make sure to live up to the expectations of the village and its people. Everyone nodded in approval with some saying, we will be counting on you, 5th Hokage-sama. Fugaku almost didn't react to what that man said because being called Hokage-sama was unbelievable to him, but Hiruzen quickly helped to set the conversation back on track. We will hold a celebration later, but now we need to think about who will replace Danzo, Kaharu, and Homura as council members. At this, Fugaku quickly regained his stoic look and said, indeed, first we need to make sure that the root hideout is cleared and retrieve all the information and research that's there and see if we can integrate them into normal Anbu or keep them as separate unite. As for the other two, Homura was responsible for our relations with the nobles of the Land of Fire while Kaharu was responsible for the logistics, so we need two competent people in these two areas to replace them. I personally think that the 3rd Hokage will play a good role as a coordinator with the nobles of the Land of Fire. As for the logistics, I think the Hitaki clan would be perfect for this because even though they are mostly civilians, their management skills are top-notch. The people here were surprised at Fugaku giving Hiruzen the spot of being responsible with the nobles since they are basically enemies, but a tactician like Shikaku quickly understood something and thought, he's trying to distance Hiruzen even more from Kaharu and Homura by leaving him some power. Plus, with Hiruzen having good relations with the nobles including the daimyo, the change in the Hokage won't cause a huge disturbance, not to mention that with this he can keep an eye on Hiruzen and his clan under the pretense of his duties. What a smart move. As for Hiruzen, he simply said, I don't mind, without showing anything on his face while the others also accepted, but as for the second proposition some had their complaints immediately. Hokage-sama, the Hitaki clan is weak, and this might cause them to have issues when interacting with outsiders, said Choza Akamichi while thinking that his clan that's experienced in selling pills is a better choice, but someone didn't take too kindly to what he said. This man is Kakashi Hitaki, the most famous ninja from the Hitaki clan, even though he doesn't visit the clan after his father's death. Fugaku calmly said, if you are worried about their strength, I am sorry, but I don't think many people here can beat Kakashi. And I believe what they lack in strength, they make for in management skills. At this time Hiruzen decided to insert his opinion. I think it's a good idea, but we will have to get their opinion on it first. After all, I don't think Kakashi is a fit representative for the Hitaki clan. Kakashi nodded since it was the truth, and Fugaku decided to take a step back for now and asked for the people's opinion on who is a good choice for this position, and they ended up with Hitaki clan head Noka Hitaki, Choza Akamichi, Hiashi Hyuga, and surprisingly Hiruzen proposed Tsunade while saying that even though she likes gambling she has very good management skills, which is true seeing how she didn't suck like him as a Hokage. Hiashi was chosen because the Hyuga clan has many businesses, especially in creating all kinds of medicine and ointments. Before long, Noka Hitaki was invited to the meeting and liked the idea. He was a tall white-haired man with a muscular body despite his old age, and he has a friendly and natural aura that caused people around him to subconsciously relax. His eyes almost never left Kakashi when he entered, making him avert his eyes. With all three present, all of them started proposing business plans to convince the people around them to vote for them, and very quickly it was decided with Noka winning by a landslide. As most were satisfied and some were disappointed, the meeting was finally getting to the main point that needs to be addressed. Danzo's kidnapping, Fugaku said. Congratulations to the two new council members, but now it's not time to celebrate. We need to quickly locate Danzo and prepare countermeasures in case he leaks information about us to other villages. We also. As the meeting was going on, unknown to everyone in the village, two old people were currently angrily discussing, HMPH, how dare they humiliate us and dismiss us like that after all we did to the village. Those brats have no respect for their elders, Kaharu said. Homura slammed the table and said, they will regret it very soon. It won't be long before they mess it up and come begging for our help. TCH, damn that Danzo and the useless Hiruzen. Just some pressure, and he caves in. As they were venting their frustration and the hatred building inside their hearts, a servant came rushing in and said, Homura-sama, Kaharu-sama, something urgent happened. Danzo was kidnapped by a masked man from his jail and his whereabouts are unknown right now. Ha ha ha. Kaharu and Homura started laughing. Serves them right. Danzo will sure come back for revenge. You can leave now, Homura said to the servant before Kaharu said with curiosity, I wonder who that masked man is. I will gladly reward him for such a slick move, haha. Oh, how nice of you. I will gladly accept your reward. A voice interrupted her as a vortex appeared in front of them, and from within it, a masked man slowly emerged, his intentions unknown. Obito, or as currently will be known as Toby, exited the vortex and stood before them. Kaharu and Homura's eyes squinted and they felt really nervous at this mysterious ninja that appeared in front of them out of nowhere. Feeling that their lives might be in danger, they both gave a signal to the two Jonin ninjas that always protect them from the dark, and they instantly attacked without wasting any time or hesitation. Homura's guard was a man in the usual Konoha ninja outfit. He had short spiky brown hair and brown eyes and a very distinctive scar extending from his ear to his neck. Koharu's guard on the other hand was a short woman with straight short black hair and red eyes that seemed filled with bloodlust in contrast to her cute face, and she was preparing her attack against Toby. The man used a short sword as a weapon and he directly rushed to Toby to slash his head off, but to his surprise, his attack went straight through his body while Toba's hand was quickly approaching his neck at the same time his blade was going to completely pass him through. However, the man had trust in the other Jonin's capabilities, and her helping indeed didn't take long or disappoint him, because she quickly weaved some hand seals in quick succession and locked eyes with Toby as she cast a strong genjutsu, Thousand Thorn Vines of Death. Unfortunately, this is the worst way a person can deal with an Uchiha, because the Sharingan gives very strong resistance to genjutsu, not to mention someone as skilled as Toby that can put a whole squad of Anbu under genjutsu easily. And that's what happened, because the moment this woman thought she caught the masked man under her genjutsu, she found that she was the one inside of it, as vines filled with sharp thorns started slithering around her body, causing bloody and terrible lacerations wherever they go, and a terrible pain followed with them. Meanwhile, the man's sword finally passed through Tobi's neck completely, and Tobi didn't waste time and caught him from his neck in a stranglehold and looked in his eyes to also put him under a genjutsu before he threw him away like trash. This is why going against Tobi without knowing his abilities will 99% of the time end badly for you. The last 1% you need to be someone like Minato or the Raikage and can react very fast to avoid the initial surprise. Finished with these two, Tobi simply dusted his clothes to show his disregard to those guards who are foaming from the mouth right now because of the genjutsus they are under before he looked at Kaharu and Homura. Well, that was quite the exciting welcome. Do you always welcome people like this? What do you want? Yelled the nervous Kaharu while Homura was thinking of 1,000 ways to escape this situation, but he understood that no help will arrive in time with Konoha's forces busy searching for this masked man's tracks outside the village since they didn't find any inside, which caused him to despair, and Kaharu arrived at the same conclusion. Death is near. Relax, I am only here to propose something to the two of you, said Tobi with a calm voice. Knowing they have a chance to talk themselves out of this situation, they both relaxed a little before Homura asked, "What is it you want from us? We have no more power inside the village, so we won't be able to help you, and if you want secret information you already have Danzo for that, so what do you want?" "I already know that. My offer is actually helpful to you. Believe it or not, I have a grudge with the Uchiha clan and I am willing to help you get rid of them and even gain back your positions back. Of course, that's if you are willing to fully cooperate," said Tobi, with some killing intent leaking when he mentioned his grudge. Of course, his grudge was also directed towards Konoha, but he won't tell them this. Seeing that they have a common enemy with the masked man, they relaxed even more. After all, the enemy of your enemy is your friend and they can't escape this situation. However, they were still doubtful, so Kaharu asked, "What kind of grudge do you have with the Uchiha?" "That you don't need to know. What you need to know is that I almost pushed them to rebel to distract them with the village before I finished them off, but someone ruined my plans at the last minute and we ended up with this situation," said Tobi in a resentful tone, and they didn't like the idea that he tried to use the village even if they also were pushing in that direction. "Then were you really the one that attacked the village?" asked Homura. "Oh, who told you that?" asked Tobi curiously, since he didn't know what happened on the meeting room and that Hiruzen talked with Minato and Kushina. After all, he didn't have time to torture some information from Danzo yet. "Minato told Hiruzen about this," said Homura, and Tobi did his best to not show any reaction while thinking, "So you are alive, Sensei." Tobi felt glad that he was wearing a mask because they only saw his narrowed right eye as he said, "The fourth Hokage is still alive. Do you really believe this? I personally saw the battle between Fugaku and Danzo. This is obviously another secret jutsu from the Uchiha that was even capable of tricking Hiruzen. It's probably the same thing they used to control the Nine Tails 5 years ago. They tried to retort before they abruptly stopped when they remembered the weird-shaped Fugaku's eyes took in his fight against Danzo and that weird ability Izanagi that can even distort reality, so they thought it was possible for the Uchiha to have such an ability, causing them to tremble in fear. The whole village was tricked, they thought as they looked at the horror in each other's eyes. What these two old teammates didn't know is Tobi was only messing with them, but the Uchiha really had such an ability called Koto Amatsukami that only Bakurio and Fugaku knows who possessed it. "We need to warn Hiruzen and the Villag," started saying Kaharu with worry, but Tobi cut her off. "You think they will believe you? They will simply say that you are trying to slander the Uchiha in order to get your lost authority back. What do you propose then?" asked Homura, and Tobi quickly replied, "I want you to pick the clans you trust the most and leave Konoha with them while I will prepare to put pressure with some connections I have with other villages, and once they cave in, you can come back and rescue the village. You will become heroes and save Konoha from the deceit of the Uchiha." Hearing this crazy plan, they weren't sure, but they felt that this is the only chance they have in saving Konoha from the deceit and lies of the Uchiha that even resorted to talking in the name of their dead hero, the fourth Hokage. As for whether those hidden villages will only put pressure or attack Konoha, they can simply side with Konoha if things get out of proportion, right? So blinded by wanting to regain their authority and hatred for the Uchiha, They made their minds influenced by Toby using the strongest jutsu in the world of Naruto. The Talk no Jutsu. After Toby successfully cast the Talk no Jutsu on Kaharu and Homura by using their prejudice towards the Uchiha, they agreed to his proposal and finally remembered to ask, "What's your name?" said Kaharu. "I am Toby, pleasure meeting you too," said Toby. Currently, the Akatsuki still did not have the same level of fame as in the original storyline since they didn't take action against the different Jinchuriki yet, with their members being Nagato Paint Konan, Toby, Zetsu, Kakuzu, Kisame, Sasori, Orochimaru, and the recently joined Juzo. But right now Toby wasn't known as a member even to most of the other members of the Akatsuki, and so they didn't react much to his name and only remembered his recent achievement of fighting the 4th Hokage and surviving, so they believed someone like this can help them in taking out the Uchiha even with how strong Fugaku seemed to be. "Well then, please make your preparations to leave the village quickly while I have to go. Convince Danzo," said Toby as he started getting in a vortex again until he fully disappeared. Kaharu and Homura heaved a sigh of relief and looked at each other in determination before they started discussing seriously about what clans to bring with them and who can be trusted for this noble mission before a groan interrupted them as their two guards woke up still shaking from the horrors they just experienced. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, I just received information from my clone about the current situation of Fugaku becoming the 5th Hokage and Danzo's kidnapping, so I turned to Itachi and Shisui that were still accompanying me but now with 2 more kids in the room and a woman. They were Naruto, Sasuke, and Makoto. Naruto was under the protection of some Anbu when the incident occurs and they only let him go when everything was settled. As for Makoto, she came here with Sasuke when she heard I was hospitalized and kept reprimanding me for getting involved in that fight and was so unhappy that Itachi and Shisui didn't escape her scolding because they a little about the plan. As I sorted out the new memories, I looked at the still angry Makoto and said, "The clone that accompanied Fugaku-san to the meeting dispelled himself just now and I have some good news and super good news. What do you want to hear first?" I decided not to tell her about Danzo's kidnapping to not worry her, and she simply snorted at me and said, "Quickly tell us both." I can see the curiosity in her eyes hidden behind her anger that only increased when she heard me say with a smile, "The good news is, our clan will be going back to the center of the village and we won't be under any pressure anymore because the people behind it are dismissed from their jobs. This is the good news." Everyone in the room felt really happy, especially Itachi and Shisui, because this was their dream, for the Uchiha to coexist peacefully with the village. "What's the super good news? Quickly tell us," said Sasuke with stars shining in his eyes from excitement, the same face he showed when I told him I battled a cage-level ninja. "The super good news is, the village has a new Hokage," I said, and paused to raise the suspense, causing everyone to start complaining, and Makoto gave me a death glare, so I quickly continued. "The new and 5th Hokage of the village hidden in the leaf is Fugaku Uchiha," I said while emphasizing Fugaku's name, and they felt like a bomb exploded inside their heads. "Father is the new Hokage," said Sasuke in a low voice before he said it again if excitement as if he just woke up from a dream. "Mother, Ni-san, father is the new Hokage." Hearing his voice, they finally woke up from their daze, which only Naruto didn't fall in because he doesn't know Fugaku nor does he understand the Uchiha situation that much. The impact of this news can only be understood by Uchiha, as can be seen in Makoto that started crying while holding her mouth with her hands and said, "Did Fugaku really become the Hokage?" "Yes." Hearing my confirmation, she broke down in even more tears. This same scene was repeating itself between the Uchiha members as the news of the new Hokage traveled around the village. Meanwhile, inside a different dimension, Toby was having the same talk he had with Kaharu and Homura, but this time with Danzo, and the only difference is that it didn't take long for Danzo to agree when he was promised his life would be spared and he will get some Sharingans once they deal with the Uchiha. Instead, he even proposed something to Toby. "There's someone that holds a grudge with Konoha. I think we can get his help quite easily," said Danzo with darkness and desire for vengeance swirling in his eye. "Oh, and who might this person be?" said Toby coldly. "Orochimaru, tell me something I don't know," thought Toby in disappointment while thinking about that weird snake. 5 days later, I was finally released from the hospital to the shock of everyone because I recovered quickly thanks to some chakra I got from Kurama. It didn't feel that bad staying in the hospital because I always had people visiting me. Sometimes it's Makoto, sometimes Naruto and Sasuke, sometimes Hiyashi or his family including the now doing better Himawari and Shai Hinata. Who would have thought that the next time I meet her, I would be the one in bed severely injured. At the same time, many changes happened throughout the village. The damage from the battle was restored, and craftsmen already started carving Fugaku's face on the mountain chain behind Konoha. The Uchiha clan was relocated close to the center of Konoha and the Hitaki clan started taking care of the economy which was one of the worst among the various hidden villages. The root Anbu were being integrated inside the normal Anbu successfully and they were grateful for escaping the enslavement of Danzo. As for the research on Hashirama cells and other forbidden things that Danzo was doing including some research on the Sharingan and Byakugan and even wood release that wasn't discovered after the escape of Orochimaru. One person that also benefited from this is Yamato, the only known wood-style user which resulted from an experiment Orochimaru did under the cooperation of Danzo but even after Yamato left the root and joined Kakashi's team, he always had Danzo's curse seal but not anymore and now this kid with code name Tenzo was finally completely free. But the happiness and optimism didn't last for long, before today to the shock of everyone during the usual meeting held at the Hokage Tower. Kaharu and Homura dropped a bomb saying that they are going to relocate from the village with their Udatain and Mitokado clans and 5 more clans decided to follow them, including 2 medium-sized clans and 3 small clans. Everyone was enraged by this decision including the always pacifist Hiruzen. Kaharu, Homura, are you too crazy? With the village weakened after the incident 5 years ago you want to leave with 5 more clans. Homura's stoic face didn't change at all and only felt that he was doing good while no one can understand him. We already made our decision Hiruzen, we will be leaving tomorrow and relocate somewhere else. Hiruzen tried to change their mind but Fugaku raised his hand to stop him and coldly looked at them. Once you leave, you will never have a home in Konoha again. No, you won't have a home in this world anymore soon, thought both Kaharu and Homura ruthlessly. Even though Fugaku was really angry with the current situation, which was basically 7 clans betraying the village. Killing them wasn't an option because the village too will lose a lot and it's not like everyone from these clans are guilty. In the end, those at the bottom can only follow the orders of those above them. Only a ruthless person with twisted morals like Hiruzen and the previous council can order for the death of innocents including kids and still sleep at night. Not to mention it would reflect badly on him to order such a huge massacre and make his position as a Hokage unstable among the civilians. Add to that how low the morale would get, it will also cause many problems with the daimyo of the Land of Fire. The 2 old foxes, Kaharu and Homura understood all of this that's why they acted boldly in such a situation. If it was only their 2 clans, the situation would be way different. Of course with all that said, Fugaku would be a fool if he lets them go away without paying a price, and a heavy price they paid. They were required to provide all their clan's secret jutsus, 70% of their wealth, and they were forbidden from relocating on the Land of Fire, they had to go somewhere else. If any requirement isn't met, a massacre would start and there were no negotiations in this. This is the attitude of a firm Hokage. If this happened under Hiruzen's rule, he would just sigh helplessly and let them leave without any punishment while saying I just want peace like an idiot. As those 7 clans left, the news about them deserting the village spread like wildfire throughout Konoha, as if it was intentional. This caused a huge disturbance, and some people that didn't know better even grew fearful, thinking the village was left unprotected. Of course, this wasn't something that escaped from the notice of the higher-ups and they had to try to calm the civilians so Shikaku came up with a simple strategy and a sentence quickly started spreading throughout the village. The village lost its dead weight, and its time to rise has come. When the people heard this, even though some were still fearful, they started to have hope for their village to grow to be a better place. Meanwhile, inside the meeting room, only Fugaku, Shikaku, Hiruzen were still in the room as Fugaku complimented his Jonin commander, Shikaku. That was a brilliant idea, now instead of fear, the villagers have hope. Hiruzen nodded in agreement and also gave a compliment of his own. Indeed, Shikaku is always reliable when it comes to strategies. Shikaku simply shrugged, well, it's just my job, causing the other 2 to smile but not for long as Fugaku said. It seems that even though those 7 left the village, they still have some influence, and for us to not be able to locate where the rumors generated from is really worrying. Shikaku nodded, this time serious. I agree, I also feel that something is happening we don't know about. It's impossible for those careful elders to leave Konoha just like that, and for those clans to follow them and some even still working as spies for them here means they had something really convincing to say that could lead whole clans to migrate. Add to that how they readily agreed to your strict conditions, it's as if Fugaku completed his words as his eyes started shining in a scary light, as if they think they will get them back soon. Hiruzen frowned at this scary theory and said, but what could be so convincing? Shikaku said one word, Danzo, and these two quickly understood. Did the masked man made another move without our knowledge? All three thought as they started to worry for the future. It seems like I have to use Shisui sooner, thought Fugaku as a plan started formulating on his mind. As I was on my way to the new Uchiha compound along with Makoto and Himawari that started to become friends using me as a shared point of interest, we heard about the rumor of the 7 clans leaving, which made the two of them worried and got me thinking. Those spineless cowards actually made such a move, only Obito can convince them of such a thing since no other people can infiltrate the village like him. Let's see what Fugaku decides to do, otherwise, I will have to ask Mukai to give them a visit and get rid of their main combatants or at least send Shisui to manipulate either Kaharu or Homura to get them as spies, I thought, not knowing that my second idea is the same as Fugaku's and currently he's planning on who to send along with Shisui on this mission. As we got close to the Uchiha compound, Himawari took her to leave but not before giving me a hug and asking to visit and play with Hinata sometimes. As for the new compound, it finally felt like this is one of Konoha's noble clans with the better architecture and quality of structures, not to mention the Uchiha logo was already painted everywhere as if the people inside will forget where they are. An old dog never changes tch, I thought. Makoto led me in front of a huge house saying this is where they live now before she pointed at a house just in front of it and said, Bakurio-kun will be living just right in front of us, this way you can visit us all the time. I was surprised at the luxurious house I was given and asked curiously, was this your idea? Makoto smiled brightly and said proudly, of course, well I know Bakurio-kun likes to keep his privacy and won't accept living with us, so I pestered Fugaku for the past 5 days to give you the closest house to ours until he accepted. I smiled back at this woman that always warms my heart and tries to be understanding before I said, thank you, I will make sure to visit a lot, and received a happy smile in return, so I said, I am going to check my house, I will come when it's time for lunch. She gave me the house keys and said, okay, we will be waiting for you. And with this out of the way, I started checking my house better and it was really big. It was a traditional Japanese 2-story house with a small front garden and a huge garden in the back with a pond inside that has a shishi adoshi, which is a segmented tube, made of bamboo, pivoted to one side of its balance point. At rest, its heavier end is down and resting against a rock. A trickle of water into the upper end of the tube accumulates and eventually moves the tube's center of gravity past the pivot, causing the tube to rotate and dump out the water. The heavier end then falls back against the rock, making a sharp sound, and the cycle repeats. Originally this device was intended to startle any herbivores such as deer or boars which may be grazing on the plants in the garden, but now they are used primarily for their aesthetic value. Let hope the inside of this house is as good as the outside. As I entered my house and saw that it was as good inside as it is outside, I thought, I need to bring Naruto to live with me here. After all, why leave that kid alone when I don't need to worry about bringing him to the Uchiha compound anymore. Done with my inspection, I started thinking about what to do for the future now that the Uchiha situation is better. First, I need to deal with Danzo. I can go back in time and try to stop his kidnapping, but we won't have this situation and get rid of those flies easily. Plus I want to see how this situation develops and gather as much information as possible from it, especially on the Akatsuki. I will also have to take care of Mukai's family as promised. Fugaku will certainly not like the bills. I spent the rest of the morning adjusting my body and checking how well it recovered, and I found that I was back at 100% of my previous power and fully healed. I also noticed that when my bones were broken, I got many debuffs like things that slowed down my recovery, so I didn't heal just like my stats said, which disappointed me a little. I thought that after an hour I would heal from anything, but it seems I was wrong, but at least I know most people would have been crippled from these injuries. Not to mention heal them in few days, so I concluded that I can always heal from almost anything, but the healing factor will be affected by the condition of my body and the outside factors I use to help to heal it, like medical ninjutsu, Kurama's chakra medicine, etc. Seeing that it was close to lunchtime, I sent a clone to bring Naruto over so he can eat with us rather than alone and depressed, and Makoto gladly accepted and even kept apologizing to him. Makoto and Kushina were close friends and she always wanted to take care of Naruto, but the situation in the village never allowed it, unfortunately. It was rare for Fugaku and Itachi to be available at lunch, but today both of them were present, and surprisingly Shisui, Hiashi, and his family were also here, so I curiously asked when I saw them looking at me weirdly, "What's going on?" Naruto and Sasuke yelled at the same time, excited, "Happy birthday Bakurio," and the rest of the people also started congratulating me while helplessly looking at the two kids that likes to compete at everything. So today is the 9th of June, huh? I totally forgot that this is my new body's birthday. Not wanting to appear rude, I thanked everyone first before I started enjoying the happy atmosphere. "Bakurio-kun, come blow on this cake and make a wish." I was dragged by Naruto and Sasuke towards the cake. Sasuke truly wanted me to make a wish while Naruto just wanted to get this over with to eat the cake. "Little brat, I will deal with you later," I thought as I stood in front of the cake thinking what I should wish for before I remembered the wish that I always had, causing a feeling of melancholy to raise in my chest, and I blew the 6 candles on the cake. "I hope this new life free my chained heart from its shackles." "What did you wish for, Bakurio?" said the excited Sasuke, causing everyone to show curiosity, including the stoic Fugaku. I thought about saying the truth for an instant, but I didn't think it was worth it to ruin this atmosphere, so I smiled and said, "I wished for my life to be even more enjoyable along with the people I care for." As I looked at the people in the room, everyone smiled at my wish, especially Makoto and Himawari, whose eyes started shining in happiness. And just like that, the birthday continued with people giving me gifts, including the shy Hinata, and everyone enjoyed their time before they left. At this time, Fugaku called me along with Shisui and Itachi to talk privately. Here it comes, I thought, and indeed once we were alone in the room, Fugaku started talking. "I am sure you 3 heard about the clans that deserted the village, right?" All 3 of us nodded, and he continued, "We suspect that the reason they left isn't simply because they are dissatisfied with me being the Hokage or the previous council members being dismissed. No, we believe that the masked man that kidnapped Danzo is responsible for this." Fugaku stopped here and looked at our reactions, and he saw that Shisui simply frowned while Itachi looked fearful for some reason. As for me, I didn't react because I already guessed this much, so both my reaction and Shisui's didn't surprise him. What surprised him is Itachi's reaction, so he asked him, "What's wrong, Itachi?" Itachi, who quickly calmed down, said, "I believe this masked man is the person that killed my teammate Tenma Izuma when we were sent on our mission to protect the daimyo. He had a weird ability that allowed him to pass through things, and I guess he used it to infiltrate the village and kidnap Danzo." Fugaku remembered this incident that happened around 3 years ago and frowned a little. "It seems this guy is targeting our village for a long time," thought Fugaku before he saw Itachi hesitating to say something, so he asked, "Don't worry and say what's on your mind." During that incident, the Anbu protecting the daimyo and his 12 other guards were all caught inside a genjutsu by this man, so he's very skillful at it, but what perplexed me is that he knew my name, and what's surprising even more than that is that when he was about to kill me he felt Kakashi Hatake approaching, and he knew him just from his chakra signature, which I found weird at the time, so Kakashi might have information on who he is or he faced him before, said Itachi with a thoughtful look. Fugaku also grew thoughtful before he said, "I will have to ask Kakashi directly later. It's good we have an idea on what he's good at in terms of abilities. As for why I called you here, I want you 3 to go on a mission and help Shisui use his ability on either Kaharu or Homura and control them to act as spies for us." Itachi was surprised. "Shisui's ability? Father, is it something like what you did in your fight with Danzo?" Even though Itachi wasn't present, he heard about his father's eyes changing to something different from the normal Sharingan. Fugaku sighed at this question before he turned to Shisui, who nodded at him before he looked at Itachi. "Itachi, our clan's eye powers can evolve to something more than just the Sharingan. When a person from our clan experiences huge emotions, they unlock their Sharingan. But when they experience even deeper emotions, they unlock the Mangekyo Sharingan. The abilities of the Mangekyo Sharingan differ from one person to another and my ability is Koto Amatsukami, Itachi asked while surprised at this information. Koto Amatsukami. Yes, this ability allows me to manipulate a person's senses and basically have complete control over them without them even realizing. This is the ultimate genjutsu, said Shisui seriously as his normal 3-tomo Sharingan started transforming to a 4-point pinwheel shape, leaving Itachi shocked at his best friend. Suddenly the back he always chased after and thought was close, seemed so far away. Seeing how shocked Itachi was, I thought, originally Itachi got his Mangekyo Sharingan because of Shisui's death, but now Shisui is still alive, and it's a waste to let him die while still having so much unexplored potential, so Itachi might never awaken his Mangekyo Sharingan unless someone can trick him with something like Shisui's Koto Amatsukami or nah, he's not worth it. At this moment Fugaku's eyes also started changing to his Mangekyo Sharingan form, which is 3 dots followed by 3 curves spiraling counterclockwise around the pupil, and said, my Mangekyo ability allows me to shrink and expand space, but the Mangekyo Sharingan also grants huge improvements to the normal Sharingan abilities, Eye of Insight, and Eye of Hypnotism. The Eye of Insight grants the user the ability to see chakra and detect irregularities in its flow, incredible clarity of perception that allows the user to mimic what they see and even predict movement in a fight when it reaches a high level. The Eye of Hypnotism grants the user the ability to perform genjutsu, Sharingan. By establishing eye contact with a target, the Sharingan user traps them within a genjutsu which can be exploited for one of the various purposes, such as causing instantaneous but temporary loss of consciousness or paralysis in the target, forceful extraction of information, relaying memories, erasing memories, removing genjutsu placed on the target by others, and controlling a target's actions. People are usually fearful of the Uchiha because of the second ability, as it forces you to fight them while making sure you won't make eye contact with them accidentally, and at the same time the terrifying aspect that it can control people, but especially tailed beasts, the same way Madara did, using Kurama against Hashirama. As Itachi digested this new information, Fugaku started talking about the main point. I want you 3 to quickly follow those clans and complete this mission as soon as possible, and you are not allowed to divulge any information about it no matter what before or after the mission, understood? Yes, both Itachi and Shisui said before they looked at me, and Shisui asked doubtfully, but why are we taking Bakuria with us? I looked back at him and shrugged, indicating I don't know, but Fugaku was quick with the explanation as he gave me a deep look and said, Bakurio is very good at both tracking and stealth, and he has the most information on that masked man, so if anything unexpected happens, he might have a solution for it. Hearing his explanation and remembering how weird I was, especially how I tracked them on their mission to capture Mukai, resulted in them accepting, but I had other opinions. I didn't say I was going to do it, did I? I said with a smile while Shisui and Itachi frowned a little at my attitude at such a serious moment. Fugaku narrowed his eyes at me and said, the village is under a huge threat. We really need to ensure the success of this mission. Are you really going to sit back and watch it failing? I also narrowed my eyes at him and said, oh, how scary. Maybe I should tell Makoto-san that her husband is threatening an inexperienced kid and trying to send him on such a dangerous mission. Better play nice little brat or you will pay for it, I thought. Fugaku felt embarrassed getting threatened by his wife, but he indeed forgot that this was just a kid in the end, no matter how abnormal his actions are, so he didn't push too hard on him, and to the shock of both Itachi and Shisui he relented and said, tell me what will make you want to go on this mission. Got you, bitch. I thought before I said, I want you to take care of the bills of a sick 3-year-old kid that's currently being treated inside of Konoha's hospital. Fugaku and the other 2 were surprised at my request since it seemed easy, so he asked, sure, that's easy. What's the name of this kid? Glad to hear that's easy. The kid's name is Murata Kohinata. Please make sure that all his treatment expenses are taken care of, I said with a mischievous smile, and Fugaku's mouth couldn't help but twitch knowing that he just shot himself in the foot. Is he the son of that famous Mukai? Why are you helping the family of a traitor? Why would you call my subordinate a traitor? That's not nice, I said with an innocent look that didn't work on these 3 that knew me, but my words shocked them, especially Shisui and Itachi that fought Mukai just a few days ago. Fugaku had an idea on how I got him to work for me and started rubbing his forehead. And where is he now? I asked him to search for Tsunade. Actually, this is another thing I want you to do. Find her as soon as possible, and it's better if you task Jiraiya with this since he's good at locating people, Orochimaru not included, and tell them both to get back to the village as soon as possible, I said seriously. Why do you want them both back? Fugaku too got serious. I don't like where the situation is heading, so let's just try to prepare for the worst, I said thoughtfully. Fugaku started to worry seeing me come to the same guess Shikaku had, but he didn't say anything for now and decided to wait until he sees the results of this mission. As for Itachi and Shisui, they felt both worry and admiration seeing that I didn't ask for anything for myself and felt a little guilty for misunderstanding my behavior. Okay, I will make sure to fulfill your requests. Now go and make your preparations and depart as soon as possible, said Fugaku, and I left with Shisui and Itachi to prepare some weapons and supplies for the mission. I had everything ready on my inventory, so I simply strapped my short swords to my back and went to meet Naruto, which was still in the Uchiha compound fighting with Sasuke but lost every time. As I approached them, no greetings were exchanged as they quickly stopped their fighting and rushed at me. Naruto simply jumped and threw a kick at me while Sasuke threw a stone first to act as a distraction before he crouched down and tried to kick me on my leg. Ho, their teamwork is improving, I thought looking at these attacks in slow motion before I simply jumped and caught the stone with my right hand and Naruto's leg with my left hand evading and blocking all the attacks, but Sasuke quickly tried to follow up his attack sending an up kick after stabilizing his crouching position. Unfortunately, what greeted his kick was Naruto's stomach, which I dragged below me by the leg I was still grabbing, causing his eyes to almost bulge from his face comically, and before Sasuke could react I threw the stone right back at him, hitting him on his forehead making him wince in pain. Next I used Naruto's body to leap away from them, causing Naruto to fall harder on Sasuke. Oh, you guys improved, I said, as I looked at the two kids still in pain, but you still have a long way to land a punch on me. You never go easy on us, said Sasuke and pouted, and Naruto just held his stomach and glared at Sasuke and was about to fight him again, but I had to stop him. Okay, stop, I need to talk with Naruto for a while. Follow me, I said as I walked in the direction of my new house. I noticed that Naruto's eyes started getting a little bit wet, but I didn't say anything and waited for his answer. I was scared at first, especially when they told me I can't meet you again and threatened to kill you if you get close to me, but Mom and Dad kept telling me to not worry and that you would solve it, in the past few days. Naruto kept telling me about his experiences these days when he wasn't with me, especially when that made it a crime if an Uchiha approaches him. Before I said, what do you think about living with me from now on? Naruto looked surprised at first before his teary look quickly turned into excitement and said, really, can I really live with you? I smiled at him and nodded, yes you can, it would be lonely to live alone in such a big house, don't you think? Naruto nodded excitedly, he was really happy hearing he won't be living alone anymore. After all, even though he can talk with his parents in the seal space, it's still not the same as living with them where they can really take care of you. So I gave him a spare key to my house and said, go bring your belongings from your house. I will ask Makoto-san and Sasuke to help you, but first let me talk with your parents real quick. I said, and he nodded, so I entered the seal space like usual and found Minato and Kushina sitting there talking with Kurama. Oh, welcome Bakurio-kun, come over here quickly, said Kushina happily. Hi, Kushina-san, Minato-san, you too Kurama, I said with a smile. Grr, what are you here for, kid? Are you after my chakra again? Said Kurama in annoyance. I smiled embarrassedly at my intentions getting known but denied them. Of course not, I am here to thank you guys for helping me out dealing with those elders and giving enough chakra to recover quicker. HMPH, Kurama just snorted, not believing me at all. No, we should be the ones thanking you for taking care of Naruto and stopping a disaster from happening in the village because of those elders, said Minato with a sigh. Well, I am sure you know about those clans deserting the village and we believe there's someone behind them, so I will be going on a mission to gather some information and might not be back for a while. Saye Kurama, I want some of your chakra, I said with a weak smile. I knew it, you were after my chakra again, tch I am not giving you any more chakra, scram away, said Kurama in anger. This angered me as well, so I rushed at him and started yelling, you huge dumb fox, you have this huge reserve of chakra and yet you are still being stingy with me. You can shove it up your ass. What did you say? Kurama started releasing an ominous aura as he brought his giant head in front of my face. What? You want to fight? I said, not retreating in the slightest. Minato and Kushina looked at this helplessly and tried to mediate the situation. Relax, you two, don't start fighting over nothing. TCH, well, he's acting like a kid, I said in anger. Causing both Kushina and Minato to almost burst out laughing as they thought, as if you are not. Grr, who's acting like a kid, said Kurama. HMPH. I snorted at him before I turned to Minato and Kushina. How are you guys doing with your research on Kurama's seals and the recovery seal? Kurama was about to retort about how I dare ignore him, but he stopped when he heard what I said, and Kushina quickly replied proudly before she deflated again. We are done with the anti-control seal and progressed a lot on creating a way to stop him from being sealed, but we still couldn't find a way to make something that could recover a human body from scratch, so we stopped and decided to focus on the other two seals and wait until you find Lady Tsunade and work on it again with her. I was happy that they found a way to help Kurama resist getting controlled, and soon we'll find a way to make sealing him harder. I see. Well, this is good news. We can get Kurama out of Naruto soon. And don't worry, I asked Fugaku to task Jiraiya with searching for Tsunade, and I also instructed a friend of mine to search for her, so we should be able to find her soon. That's good to hear, said Minato with a smile, while Kurama just looked the other way when he saw how happy I was for him going to get free soon, and touched my shoulder with his finger, transferring some of his chakra to me without saying anything. A Tsunade like always, I thought as I patted his head when he was done before I said, Minato-san, do you have any advice on how to deal with that masked man if I happen to meet him? Everyone looked at me seriously, and Minato narrowed his eyes and said, always wait for when he's about to attack before you make your move, and be careful. He might be even stronger than when I fought him 5 years ago, so don't let your guard down, and it's better to retreat than fight him. Okay, I will make sure to be extra careful. Oh, by the way, I think you should make contact with Kakashi soon and help him deal with his Sharingan. If he continues like this, he will simply waste his future potential and fall deeper and deeper into his pit of despair. After all, you are his teacher, I said with a sigh. Minato looked sad and disappointed in himself and said, yes, I was planning to do so, but the situation was just too unstable with people like Danzo in power, and I didn't want to draw too many eyes to Naruto, but now it's different. Good. Well then, take care you guys. You too, Kurama, I said and waved them goodbye. Be careful, Bakurio-kun. Kushina waved worriedly and Minato simply nodded. After I almost disappeared, I heard Kurama's voice, come back alive, which brought a smile to my face. After I left, I felt my body and felt satisfied when I saw that I had enough of Kurama's chakra to generate 3 tails of version 1 transformation. Next, I took Naruto to Makoto and told her that he was going to live with me from now on, causing her to look at me as if I stole something from her before she took him with Sasuke to retrieve his belongings, while I went into the direction of Konoha's huge entrance and waited for Itachi and Shisui to finish their preparations. I didn't wait for long, and after just half an hour they both arrived together. Are you guys ready? Said Shisui. Yes. Yay. As the oldest of the group, he was given the intel on the path the 7 clans were using to leave the land of fire, and so he quickly said, follow me, I will explain the information I have as we move. And so just like that, I left the Hidden Leaf village again, this time on my birthday. Thank you for listening guys, see you in the next part.